What's up, Boost Junkies? Eddie Rocksteady here once again. We're talking turbos, but today we're talking something a little different. We're talking specifically about rebuilds. Stick around, we're going to give you a little information about some of the services that you may or may not know that we happen to offer. Here at Comp Turbo Technology, we offer remanufacturing service. That means we can rebuild just about any turbocharger out there. That doesn't matter if it's an OE turbocharger from your factory vehicle or a different manufacturer's performance turbocharger. Now, how do we know that we need a rebuild? More often than not, the signs are pretty obvious, right? But there is a difference between rebuilding something and simply needing to replace something. If your turbocharger is a little up there on the mileage, maybe perhaps not as frequent in the oil change category, of course, we do develop some particulates in our oil that do travel through the rotating assembly of the turbocharger and wear out your turbochargers. After some time, they will inevitably perform a little less than they should. They'll leak, they'll smoke, we know the symptoms. At that point, your turbocharger could be due for a rebuild, not to be confused with blowing your turbocharger. Once your turbocharger grenades or seizes up, chances are you may simply have to replace the turbocharger. Now, when we first start the process, you can send us a turbocharger, or if you're local, you can stop by and visit. We can take a look at the turbocharger. We can inspect it for you and have one of our certified technicians go through a number of different checks and ensure that your turbo is in fact rebuildable. Once we get the okay that it is in rebuildable condition, meaning that the turbocharger itself does qualify for the rebuild and nothing is out of tolerance or damaged beyond repair, then we can contact you, let you know that it is in fact rebuildable. We can go over the pricing once again to ensure that we are still within the quoted price and then move forward with the rebuild itself. So, what exactly does a rebuild consist of? For the most part, generally speaking, for 99% of the population out there, we can offer you what we simply call a minor rebuild. Minor rebuild means that your turbocharger was still functioning when it came in. It still spins freely, but it's a little old, smokes, leaks, all the things that I previously mentioned. That's the easiest condition in which we can rebuild a turbocharger and bring it back to OE specifications. This process involves replacing all of the modular wear and tear components inside of your cartridge. It does not, however, include any of the hard items like the shaft itself, the compressor or turbine wheel, the big components that are more often than not kind of one-time use only. If you damage those, then that's going to be a little extra because we need to first and foremost see if we can get a hold of those items for you, or we can always manufacture them as well. And that's something we'll touch bases on a little later on in the video as well. So how much does a rebuild cost? For most applications, for most passenger vehicles and most simplified diesel applications, a rebuild starts at $525. And what does that include? $525 includes the labor, the parts, the machining, balancing, VSR testing. Of course, it undergoes a rigorous amount of QC to ensure that you get it back to OE specifications. Not only that, but it does also come with an 18-month unlimited mile warranty. And of course, you get it back completely reconditioned. We do sandblast, chemical wash, and even repaint your turbocharger. So you get back an essentially brand new turbocharger with warranty. And again, our warranty is an 18-month warranty with unlimited miles. Now, when it comes to the cost of rebuilding your turbocharger, there are of course exceptions to the minor rebuild cost of $525. There are of course some turbochargers that are a little more difficult to work with and are even proprietary in design, making them just even that much more complicated to work with. That's not to say we can't rebuild them for you, we most certainly can, but there are exceptions to the price. Of course, we'll let you know ahead of time once you let us identify your turbocharger, letting us know what you have. We'll very quickly and easily determine the price of your turbocharger before you ever even send it in to us or show up with the turbocharger as well. Some examples, for example, are like the Cummins VGT turbos. Those VGT turbos are a little more cumbersome to work with, so those do cost a little more. If you're unsure of what the price of your turbocharger is or what you have, you're always welcome to give us a ring and we'll help you find out and identify exactly what it is you have. Then we can give you a quote over the phone and we can go from there. Now, moving up a step from rebuilding a turbocharger, we are first and foremost a manufacturer of performance turbochargers. We do have our slew of patented and innovative designs, like our triple ball bearing system, and of course, the Oila series of turbochargers, and of course, some distinctive designs that help differentiate us from others when it comes to compressor and turbine wheel technology. Your factory turbocharger can still be upgraded as well, so we can take your turbocharger and give it a little performance boost as well. The performance upgrades include a turbine wheel upgrade and a compressor upgrade. The compressor upgrade being the most popular of them, of course. The compressor upgrade is an add-on to the rebuild service. We can't simply have your turbocharger show up for a compressor upgrade. It has to first get the rebuild as well. Simply put, once we disassemble the turbocharger, we can't put it back together with the same parts. So rebuild is a natural part of the process. From there, we can add the compressor upgrade. How big can we go on the compressor upgrade? Well, it depends on how generously casted your compressor cover is. The compressor cover is casted aluminum. More often than not, there are pockets of air in there. And those pockets of air could lead to some stress points where the compressor cover can crack, break, and result in premature failure. Of course, we'd like to avoid that. So after testing the compressor cover and determining just how big we can bore it out, that'll determine just how big of a compressor wheel we can fit in your turbocharger. Now this does kind of go off of a turbocharger to turbocharger basis. So if you're curious, stop on by with your turbocharger or mail it in, and we can go from there. Now when it comes to the compressor upgrade obviously incurs that we'll be replacing your existing compressor wheel with one of our own design. That will of course be the CTR series billet compressor wheel. Now this compressor wheel does come at an additional cost to the rebuild service. Our rebuild service starts at $525. From there, upgrading to the compressor upgrade afterwards is about $750. Now, we can also upgrade your turbocharger further. We can do a turbine wheel upgrade as well. Now, more often than not, that isn't necessary, given that the frame of your turbocharger will inherently limit it to just how much air it can move. However, it can still benefit from a turbine wheel upgrade, and it can make quite a difference as well. However, manufacturing a turbine wheel is a little more difficult. And that's something that can vary quite a bit in price. Depending on what type of turbocharger and style of turbocharger you have will determine the price. But that's something we can talk about over the phone or even an email. If you're curious to learn a little more about how the rebuild and upgrade services that we offer work, you're welcome to call in at any time. You can call us during our regular business hours or even shoot us an email. We'd be more than happy to give you a very in-depth rundown of how the process works, and we can even quote you over the phone or email as well. You can even ask for me by name. I'm Eddie, and I'd be more than happy to help you out.